see those stats at the bottom of the screen. Legend first, Legend third. The fact that we're in playoffs, lower round 3.
It's insane,
and
isn't it?
T1 was considered vastly superior to Hanwha before playoffs began, despite being just below them, just a few games below them, not getting them that second place is insane. As the Bard and the Nico will be respected immediately here for GENG, taking those away from Keria. Have questions about where Jarvan will land. I think Jarvan could start to replace Pantheon in some of these early bans.
Yeah, I actually think that whoever gets... It feels like Jarvan really does sort of meld a series around you, right? Like, we've seen... and it's going to be banned here by GENG, really targeting, right? Like, these are the 2 picks that Keria has the most impact on, and the Jarvan was the way that Ona started that snowball rolling in their series against DK. I think that the Demacian Prince is going to be someone that we'll be looking out for throughout this series 100%. To see who manages to pick that one up, and I think that it will be first pick priority. Let's see what this last ban is going to be, though, because Yunara is up, guys.
Yunara is available. Pantheon is banned instead here with no Wukong. Feels like a pretty strong Yunara angle here for Ruler. We've seen teams have answers to this in the 2v2, or at least attempted answers, like the press the attack smolder we saw from Ruler himself.
Yep.
And so I think T1 very willing to give this up. This is not a, I guess we accidentally gave Yunara. I think they have a plan here. We don't know what that plan is just yet, but they will also have jungle priority pick here as well, since GENG did take that away. They have red side, so it's a great way to try to utilize red side as well as remove Yunara from play for the rest of the series.
Yeah, the thing that I'm a little bit worried about is, will Gumayusi go towards the Smolder pick, right? That we've seen be the handshake option into the Yunara. It doesn't really feel like a Guma champion to me. And otherwise, we've seen a lot of other picks not really work. Like, is it just a Felios? Is that what he's going to be playing into it as sort of his hyper carry of choice in the matchup? As the Orianna, massively high priority and does go over to Faker, that is a big deal because he's been so good on this champion. And this new Bruiser Orianna that we've been seeing has been... yeah, looking pretty broken, and that is going to be Xin Zhao for Ona. Needs no introduction there, I don't think.
I mean, I think he was considering the Nocturne potentially to lock down the Yunara in the back line. Great ball carrier, but don't know what the rest of this draft is going to look like just yet. Another option we haven't talked about in the bottom lane, but is now very difficult to lock in, is the Lucian pick, which we have seen attempted to take out the Yunara in the bottom 2v2, but now on red side, you can only get one part of that, and the other parts will be taken away. And see the Vi Galio to come through here for GENG now. So a lot of frontline and engage to set up this Yunara to clean up team fights.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like the idea of playing around Ruler here in game number 1, because I think Ruler and Keen were the 2 that were, I think Duro as well. It was mainly Canyon and Chovy that was struggling.
Ooh,
so put them on utility and then allow Ruler to carry and get that momentum rolling, maybe get some mojo back into the jungle and mid lane. But there is that Corki like you were talking about.
To me, Corki has been Ruler's best champion this year, and you take it away for the series now. So now you don't have to worry about Ruler's Corki. For the rest of the series, you won't have to worry about his Yunara. You will have to worry about it here in game 1, but feels kind of similar veins to what Chronicle was talking about with that Ziggs pick that they showed us earlier on in playoffs, where you just take it away. Rakan going to be removed here now for that lane sustain, and also the amazing follow-up he has with the Vi and the Galio. The Alistar, one of the stronger pairings for the Corki in this lane 2v2. See what ends up coming through here finally for Keria, because I feel like even Rel could work in this draft here for T1.
Yeah, there are so many support bans so far. Like, we already have 4 taken away. So that pool is getting a little bit thinned. There is still things like the Leona, the Nautilus, stuff like this that they can look towards, but maybe one more ban is going to come through. I don't know about the Rel situation, but instead it's going to be the Renekton taken away from Doran.
Right,
I think Keen wants to play Ambessa.
Do you want to save counterpick for Doran or for Keria? I think probably for Doran in this case, as if you could just lock in Nautilus or Leona, you're fairly safe here. It's tough to dive because of the stuns and the roots that those champions can pick up to defend said dives. He's just going to take the Ambessa away.
I like it a lot. And I actually think Keria having counterpick is really important, because if Duro just locks in a melee engage support, you can Lux it. You can throw a Karma in that lane. You can really punish. the lane, the 2v2, in a way that can help put that Yunara behind, which is looking like the sole carry at this point in time in GENG's comp.
Two ways to play this as GENG. One, you just slam a tank down, you front to back with your already insane front line, or you go for like Aatrox, Camille.
Man.
You go for the aggressive pick, you go for the lockdown backline access, and when you have Galio already with Vi, it just becomes so simple. And even if you don't kill the Corki, it doesn't matter. You just kill anyone. And then you have such a front line that the rest of T1 won't be able to compete. And with Orianna in particular, she's more burst oriented. Her ultimate is really the main part of the fight. If you can kill the Corki, the Orianna will never be able to compete with the damage that this Yunara is putting out later on in the game. And GENG are basically setting this up to be hyper carry ruler with so much front line. You'll never be able to touch that Yunara.
Absolutely not, and that is a Braum that will be locked in alongside this Yunara this time around. Duro not going to be going the full engage route. You know, engage Braum is something we've laughed about a fair bit, but the Poppy left up and available. This is something that's been banned quite a bit during these playoffs. Will get through here, will be the final lock-in for Carrier. Not exactly the most lane power that you can get, but still going to be very, very powerful in breaking up these team fights and denying the sort of we're just going to collapse on top of you and hope that you all die style of composition that GENG does have.
T1 kind of misread what GENG were looking for here. They banned the Aurora. Don't want to lose the top lane. Don't want to take away Doran's ability to get prio there. But instead, GENG are like, we're playing for composition here. We're going to get this Camille. We have Camille, Galio, Vi, and Yunara. Team fights are so free for us. And now T1 end up with a Poppy, which feels almost like desperation as a get-out-of-jail-free card for setting up on objectives. For example, if you can knock some of those champions away, you might be able to get that fair fight. For team fights, when we get to 3rd Drake, 4th Drake, when we get to Baron, it's all about can T1 win the fight practically instantly, or do they lose it? There is no in-between. There is no late game where we're going to see Gumayusi barely clean up the fight. That is so rarely going to happen when these two compositions collide.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's going to be a difficult Poppy game as well, right? Because there's quite a few champions that just don't really care, right? Galio, happy to get knocked away. He can just fly back in almost immediately. Vi presses ult. You can't move her around anymore. And the Camille has the ability to go untargetable as well if you can time it correctly. So going to be a tough game to really get the most Keeper's Verdict value. Let's get onto the Rift here for game number 1 of this do or die best of 5. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 1. GENG versus T1, the El Clasico here for our final day in LoL Park. And it's kind of insane that one of these teams does get to go to the Inspire Arena later on next week, and another team is just going to be going home. And not only that, but also has to face off against the 4th seed of the LPL in the first best of 5 of Worlds. They could have, like, there could be 3 games and then you're just home again.
Yeah.
For T1 or GENG, what?
It's crazy how we went from, it's always either T1 or GENG lifts the LCK trophy, and there's different times in different eras where we're like, oh, it's definitely either GENG or T1, like one is so favored, to Hanwha Life lifting the trophy last season in summer, to now one of these teams gets the chance to play the lower bracket finals, and we still might not have either of them, actually. Yep. It could still be Hanwha Life versus KT in the grand finals. So just crazy to see a big shift here in the LCK right now. As this bottom 2v2 is going to be quite volatile here. Duro going to be playing this Braum into the Poppy. It also kind of hurts Lucian picks, by the way, for the future of this series.
Oh, that's actually a really good point. Kind of does make that a little bit more difficult. We have seen some experimentation, like the Janna Lucian that we saw the other day. Wasn't exactly our favorite. Well, I mean, it was mine because it was Beryl that played Janna, but
he did some cool stuff.
He did some cool stuff, even if it didn't necessarily work out. But I think you're right. I think the Braum coming out now might really change up how this series is going to look. As Doran and Keen trading blows back and forth here. You can see Doran pretty happy with his release date, and Keen just doing his very best to weather the storm. It will get to a point where Keen can just sort of nuke people by, you know, pressing Q and stuff like that, as Chovy finding some Winds of War against Faker here.
Faker having a great start to this lane, avoiding those Winds of War at level 1, just constantly applying that pressure, ramping up those auto attacks, pushing Chovy out of the lane, harassing him with his Q. Canyon is 8-1 on this Vi, but more impressively, I think, is Chovy's 12-0 Galio.
Yeah, that is a scoreline that he has right there. Not too bad at all. Things looking pretty good over here on T1 side as well, outside of the pretty surprising lower win rate here for Gumyushi's Corki. Hasn't necessarily found as much success.
Now notice the junglers are both path different directions. This top lane is very gankable for Canyon to come up here and look for absorbing that pressure that Doran is looking to put on here. You mentioned the release state difference. It's just a really hard matchup for Camille early because Doran has those shields, has all those dashes, so could just outmaneuver him essentially in the lane. But this is a gankable lane where the Vi has power. Bottom side, looking for a little bit of a trade here. Not as gankable for the Xin Zhao, I would say, though.
Yeah, not so much. Bit of Slurkle value there on Decaria, but not too much more. Do want to say thank you to Valdez yesterday for really vindicating the Slurkle, and I appreciated it so much. Just needed him to know that.
Look at this, by the way. Like, we mentioned it briefly.
Huh.
Like, this is across, now 15 across international events as well. 2 times at EWC, that win at MSI as well. This is for all time.
He's pretty good at Galio.
He does have the most famous Galio play of all time as well before it was changed.
He does.
Because of him.
The good old Flash Taunt.
Yeah.
That was DRX against Gen G.
Yeah.
So that was BDD. I think BDD was playing Zoe in that series. Kind of crazy stuff. I think I went back and watched that play like a few months ago, just because I was like, no, there's so many phenomenal Galio games for Chovy. I remember the 4-man taunt, but I couldn't remember the context all that well.
I remember it very well because it was on my caster audition for the LCK.
Hey, I was there for that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my memory of that isn't quite as good. I have to admit, I did a few of those auditions. As Chovy and Faker still just laning it out here, both of them having teleported back in. And CS numbers looking fine as Chovy is going to be able to justicely punch his
Faker
way through the wave.
Constantly applied pressure in this lane, and yet still Chovy is only a minuscule number of CS
He is good
down.
at red dots.
He really is. So we do see the lane swaps coming in here at the same time. Top laners teleporting down to the bottom lane, so it's really just a zero-sum lane swap. End up being the same matchups both sides, which means that this Dragon, since there is no big lead in this bottom lane, may go unattended for a little while here in this game.
And there is still the chance of a Cloud Soul, which is absolutely fantastic. I just really think that the Earth, Wind, and Fire vibes, it's the chasing the clouds away part of it that I think is the most important. And so a Cloud Soul in Game 1.
It's the 21st night of September, right?
Yes.
We're still a little bit early for that, so, you know, it's 3 p.m.
I'm sure it's the night somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? I don't quite know where.
Like, maybe if it goes 5, you know, we get that Cloud Soul in Game 5?
Yeah.
As yet, Yunara does count lanes.
Okay, Gumyushi taking a lot of damage, has to barrier here underneath the turret, but has already taken a lot, is now Carrier in a bit of trouble. Vault Breaker comes in from Canyon, who's been pretty active, or at least has found a bit of an angle to be useful here towards this top side of the map.
So it's Dragon here for a barrier of Guma and some potential plate gold here. He's going to lose some farm as well. He's already a little bit behind in that regard. So this is a pretty big win here for Gen G, but at least T1 is able to stack that first Dragon on the other side of the map. Grubs are not spawning for 2 minutes here, so they'll have time to reset and look for that as well. As Doran is continuing to put pressure on in this lane, but won't really find himself with a CS advantage. And the Camille, like I said before, is really just about team fights later on. It's the setup with the Galio they drafted it for, not because they think it's going to smash Ambessa in this early game or gain Prio.
Yeah, I do still think that Kane will have a great time in side lanes as well later on in the game. It's one of the reasons why Camille has been so good is that she does team fight really well, gets that backline access, but also just kind of nukes turrets.
Canyon's going to have level 6 here. There is a control ward on that Tri-Brush, but this is a nice setup for Gen G.
Yep, there's the hook shot to come in. Hextech Ultimatum comes down there as well as the public execution tries to come out here as Doran has to flash, but the flash forward from Keen. And this Camille looking for a first blood, although doesn't have a lot of mana, but the Winter's Bite is going to land. Doran in a lot of trouble, but still dashing away. Oh my goodness, just the Ambessa things. And Doran is actually gonna be okay.
The craziest part of all this to me is you lose so much because Ruler's in trouble now here on the top side. It's gonna force a TP here from Duro. He will get back just in time, but also the fact that Canyon was just chilling the whole time. Like he was down down there, and I guess he just assumed they had enough to kill Doran. So he's like, I'm not going to waste my time coming over there to secure the kill. But because he doesn't show up, Doran does get away, is down his flash now, and is going to lose a plate here. But it was a dangerous moment there for Ruler topside. Hits level 6.
Yeah, that is going to be the stun onto Carrier. Ruler's still there, though, and does have a lot of damage. As the flash forward, and Ruler will find it, dashes after the Corki, and there is first blood, but it's for the Yunara.
Yeah, the Yunara ends up getting the huge value out of the level 6 spike. You're not going to have that as the Corki hits the slow there onto Guma. Guma down barrier from the previous exchange, has to flash, but Ruler has the follow flash and takes him out. Canyon going to take this prio opportunity to start up grubs, grabs the first one. Any grub you can get for this Camille side lane is going to feel fantastic, and it looks like they might just get all 3.
Yep, Canyon will be able to at least grab 2 of them with the help of Ruler, who does pick up a bit of extra money for that one. So far here for GENG, things going exactly the way that they want them to. Money is where it's supposed to be. Chovy's health bar not looking fantastic here, but he is just going to Justice Punch his way through the minions, get himself back to base. And being a wave behind is absolutely fine here for the Galio. Still hoping that he finds some more impact later into the game.
Look at this calculation here from Ruler, knowing he's going to hit 6 off this minion. Goes for the dash forward first. That cooldown is bleeding, right? And he goes for this arc here, grabs the slow, forces the flash, gets his dash back at the last possible second. Dashed first, he gets it right at the end, and that's what is able to close the gap there on that Corki to secure the kill.
I do love as well that as the Keeper's Verdict comes out and Ruler is just knocked away, yeah, well, Barom is just, okay, we've got a little bit more of an engage here towards the bottom side. As now Ruler may immediately get punished, does have the barrier, some sidesteps come through, public execution, and he puts Ruler down. Duro not able to find the Winter's Bite this time. The immediate answer comes on through, and this time around, Ruler not quite as okay as he was indicating in that replay.
That's going to be a big swing of gold back here to T1, putting them in the lead here as Doran picks up his first kill of the game. Now, he does have teleport as well, and will be able to come answer this top wave. If he didn't, this would have been a costly endeavor. It's still going to be Keen getting a little bit of damage done to this turret because he has 3 grubs. Not enough to actually grab the plate on this wave, but that was a great moment there. Very calculated by Doran. Knows he can TP to patch that whole top side as Guma is heading back down to the bottom lane. Yep. Take the Yunara out. You can see on the mini-map here as well, they're already prepping that swap back. So Doran wants to find an all-in here with Keria before he goes to the top lane with his teleport. And Ruler plays this well, actually, with his ultimate, but Doran is just so quick to snap him up with his R button right as he dashes away.
Yeah, just waiting for the dash, knew exactly what was going to happen. And of course, as soon as that one's down, public execution is too easy.
Now, Ruler flashless, of course, after the previous exchange topside. He knows there's no way to dodge it.
Very nicely done. Bit of a Venn diagram here displayed between Carrier and Chovy, but not too much more than that. As Gumushi doesn't quite find that rocket. Slurkle connects, though, here from Ruler, who is still frightening, although he did just miss a cannon. That doesn't feel great. Ona making his way in, though. There, flash out of the shockwave. Very nicely done there from Chovy, but still a big cooldown invested. T1 successful gank in the mid lane.
That was very impressively played by Chovy. Still has to flash, but does not lose his life. And down here on the bottom side, we continue to zoom in on it because there's always, with Yunara, there's always an all-in angle.
Yep.
And our observers are very aware of it. Also, Vi on the bottom side, Canyon surfing around here as they clear this vision away. He is still unseen. Doesn't like they're going to be able to punish this flashless Corki. Instead, will turn their eyes towards the dragon first.
Yeah, looking like second dragon going to get picked up here by GENG unless there's something that T1 can do about it. Chovy looking a little worse for wear, which might make this a little bit more dangerous, but with Ona not in the area, just finishes the Sundered Sky, but Canyon already had that one in his back pocket, so feeling pretty good, and utilizing that Sundered Sky window to grab the Drake. So that is going to be 2 objectives taken here by GENG, just 1 more to lock down that portion of the feats of strength, and there it is, guys. It's wow. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire value here. We're chasing the clouds away. It's a Cloud Salt here in game number 1. Sometimes, you know, your faith does get rewarded, and it just feels fantastic.
Atlas is from the future. Or he just wills Cloud Souls, or both. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just a fan. Anyway, Keen and Doran doing battle here towards his top side. Duro picks his moment to come in, but it looks like Doran will be absolutely fine, and will just be able to shove this wave in as much as he would like. The fact that he did get that extra kill, though, a big deal, because it's going to take a long time for Keen to get to that point where he can stand toe-to-toe with the Ambessa if Doran continues to have a performance like this on the best champion that he's had this year, I think.
Yeah, it feels like the jungler of GENG in this game is Duro, because he's constantly going around the map as support, roaming and trying to find value for Ruler or for Keen in this game, whereas Canyon has just been hard farming and hasn't been involved really in all too much this game. And it's really interesting to see how that roaming support can get high value, especially when you have the Camille set up for the Braum. Really powerful there, but Doran reads it well. He's got a bunch of dashes. Duro's not going to flash for that one. And we reset back to a quieter game state here once again, as now do see the AD carries start to head towards this mid lane.
Yeah.
And the side lanes begin a very, very close start to this series. We've had a lot of blowout games this playoffs, but this looks like it's not going to be one of them.
Yeah, not a lot of funny business happening in this one, as Chovy does avoid the dissonance quite nicely there. Now phase rushing after Faker finds the Colossal Smash and looking pretty good on this Galio thus far. Still has a fair bit of health bar to get through, but does have that first item completion, a whole bunch of extra tankiness here for Chovy.
Yeah, he's still down his flash, but not going to be too impactful in this side lane unless a gank does happen. And it's a lot of caution, I think, that both teams are showing right now. We're not seeing a lot of heavy commitment from junglers to ganks or big skirmishes just now, and since there's no objective up, well, maybe I spoke too soon. Owner has control vision here.
Yeah, looking for a little bit of a window, perhaps, as Gumayusi on the Cloud Rift super runny fast patch. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
It's not a circle. It's a fast-cle. A very big circle.
It's a ground cloud.
Yeah, there it is. But it's also a speed up.
Yeah, I don't know how to like,
because like you've been up a mountain, right? And you're in the clouds. I don't go faster. I just feel a bit wet.
Yeah.
That's sort of what happens. So I'm a bit confused as to why it happens the way that it happens, but I prefer not to question it.
The champions just turn into like their planes zooming.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like, even if that's not true, that's the way I'm going to think about it from now on, is Doran finding a little bit of harass here against Keen, but it looks like things are going to go okay now that that Trinity Force has been put together. Ruler fighting against two. He's feeling a bit strong, I could imagine.
Every time he presses Q, you need to get away from him.
Yes.
And you can see he has a somewhat hefty gold lead over his opposition here, but it's the top lane where T1 shore up that advantage. They have a technical gold lead themselves, like overall here with the lead that Faker has over Chovy. But I think all these things don't really matter that much. We're sitting at a 1-to-1 Drake game here, no double dragon, very, very even stakes. It's going to be that first team fight, that first skirmish that we're going to see around this Herald right now that is going to blow this game wide open.
Yeah, I think this moment is going to be incredibly pivotal, or a team just handshakes and then we just don't know yet. But I think the first team fight, whenever it happens, is going to really tell us a lot here, as Canyon looking to clear out some vision.
Guma wanted to back, I think, but there's just no time. He's down items here on components here to Ruler. And remember, for T1, you want to win the fight instantly here. Blow up a single member, then you can clean up. But if Ruler's the last man standing, you've completely lost it.
Ooh, bit of Slurkle value here as Keen finding a good trade against Doran. The health bars of these top laners actually does play a factor, as they both have teleport. We're going to try and make their way up. And Chovy and Faker will be still ping-ponging some waves here. The Rift Herald now down to about 4,000 as Gumayusi Carrier in the area. A bit of a rotation down. The Keeper's Verdict comes through, but it's immediately buffered by the ulti from Canyon. And the heroic entrance comes down there as well. Justice Punch, fantastic. But the Yunara is dead. They've taken down the Poppy, but that is not enough value. And Keen will be wiped out as well. Doran continues the fight. This guy's Ambessa is absolutely absurd as he picks up the triple. Can it be the Quadra? He's tanking up the turret, and he will allow Owner to pick up the kill, although Chovy may not. So he's just going to get himself out of there, but he is the last man standing.
He's the only one alive on the side of GENG, and like I said, this fight's going to blow the game open. T1 with flying colors take the fight here. As GENG are set up to secure Herald, T1 are set up to fight. And look at the buffer there. It's fantastic. The ultimate does come out here. But when you look at what happens next, the Yunara is actually caught. Doran gets into the backline.
Value.
And the shockwave is massive. And once that the Yunara is down, you just don't have damage. Whereas T1 have a Corki, and the real damage dealer of this skirmish is the Ambessa. Doran just runs them down. Chovy with an impressive escape here, does have phase rush and will get the hell out of there, but he is the only one surviving that fight. T1, massive win.
Yeah, Doran is now a huge problem for GENG. 4-0-1, 1.7k gold lead just for himself. And the first Cloud Drake will go over to T1 here. That'll be their prize.
Cloud Drake, arguably, I mean, if there's an Ambessa in this game, I'd argue the Cloud Drake is higher value for GENG even individually because of the melees they have and how reliant they are on them, and the movement speed will be so beneficial. So even each individual Drake GENG doesn't pick up really hurts how this composition could have otherwise functioned here. T1 with one more big win on top of the skirmish on the top side.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive as Faker will pick up this wave. The Chovy shoved towards this top lane. Runan's picked up here for Ruler, but does really want 3 items before he's very strong. Gumayushi still looking for item number 2, but it's 2 items that you feel great on when it comes to the Corki. So they will be feeling better and better as the next, I reckon, 10 minutes, 7 minutes perhaps goes on. And that will allow T1 to really sink their teeth into this advantage that they picked up. It is, as you look at the top of your screen, 1.6k. It's not end of the world type gold lead, but we said that the way this first team fight is going to look is really going to set the tone for how the rest of this game is going to be, and T1 looked pretty good.
As T1, you could play through shutting down this Camille side lane win con because, yes, she has grubs, but your Ambessa is just so much more powerful and is going to be hitting big spikes early in this game with the gold that Doran just picked up. So they're going to actually look to gank Doran himself.
Yeah, looking for a bit of an angle here. Hextech Ultimatum comes down. Public Execution comes in as Carrier is going to evict the Camille. And now it's only Canyon and Duro that are down here underneath this turret. And Doran once again is going to survive.
Doesn't even have to flash in the exchange. Carrier getting huge value out of the Keeper's Verdict there to save the play. Now Owner's here and Duro's left alone.
Yep, he's going to put down the door, tries to flash his way out, but there's a teleport coming in. Ulti from Duro coming on through here, and I think they know that this Braum is dead. Keen still going to go in, but Faker's teleport. Now Keen is in so much trouble. Ruler comes down, protects with a Slurkle. And that is going to be it. Oh, never mind the edge of the Shockwave, and it's a double kill for Faker on this Orianna.
Saves the ultimate for so long, knows he doesn't need it for the initial kill, and then finally is able to lock down Keen on the edge with the Shockwave, takes him out there, and T1 now poised to take this mid-turret, are running away with game 1 of the series.
Yep, you've got Chovy now rotating down, but that will be feats of strength. Oh, never mind. GENG did lock down feats of strength by taking the top outer turret while we were speaking. But still, being able to break open the mid lane, a huge deal. Chovy now lying in wait in this brush. And we'll see whether he can at least stop the back here, and he does. Canyon moves over, though, as Owner is in perhaps a bit of trouble, but he does want to brawl. As we can see, Ruler's still doing a fair bit. But the problem is I feel like T1 showed it in that team fight. They can just say that Ruler's dead and he will die.
Yeah, 100%. And this, like, Doran's ability to absorb pressure has been iconic for him as a player across his career. You know, on all 3 teams he's recently been a part of, right? And you consider he draws them all in, then they stick around way too long here. Owner shows up, and then you have this teleport from Faker with this really deep ward that's in the brush. Doesn't Shockwave here, even though it was a possibility he could have catch Keen. He's like, nah, not gonna go for that one. Waits till the possibility of the flash of the Shockwave is gone. Gets the flash here. Keen has no recourse, no way out. Catches him on the end, picks up the double.
Yeah, and right on the very edge of that that Shockwave range as well. Absolutely fantastically done there by the GOAT. And that's going to move them to about a 2.5k gold advantage here at 21.5 minutes into the game. T1 really getting this snowball rolling down the hill in the first game. And we do need to say, like, GENG, they had side selection moving into this first game. They chose blue side. T1 winning on red here in game 1 would be a huge deal, especially when the Yunara is invested, when Chovy's Galio, his undefeated Galio, is invested. There is a lot of those fearless bucks that they've used in this first game.
Now, in in defense of the game state for GENG, they still have this Yunara that's heading towards 3 items. They still have incredible setup for it. Even though this Camille is now practically made of paper, she will still have the ability to ult with Galio when Chovy goes in on top of Gumayusi. And if Ruler is able to have, with all this front line, that may even just be taken out by a shockwave relatively quickly, if he's able to get into a game state where he can front to back with 3 items, this gold lead 2.4k here for T1 is not enough to say this game is finished, but if they can control the map with the tempo they have right now, continue to stack these dragons, and GENG never gets that fair fight, T1 are feeling great about their position, and I think they should.
Yep. Ravenous Hydra is now done here for Keen, but I don't think it's going to be enough to deter Doran in a side lane for now. As you can see, he already had his 2 items completed. Some cheeky cloth armors there as well. And Cloud Drake, this would be sole point for T1 if they're able to lock this one down, and it has been started already. Full information over to GENG, but what can they do about it is going to be the question.
They just have to give it up. They have that control vision in the pit, and they're just very aware that this is not going to be a possibility for them, and they're just going to instead try to look for a collapse on the Doran, but look at how much defensive vision he has here. He's just going to completely let this wave push in. He's going to back away, and it will be just a scuttle crab in exchange here for GENG. Give it to Ruler. He picks up 100 gold off of that, and starting Otacon is a risky endeavor, but they're going to try it. They're going to try to pull T1 in. They are going to get Faker's teleport for this.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for here, I guess, is the teleport is going to come on through. Keen finds the hookshot angle. There's the Hextech ultimatum. He delivers the gargoyle on top. Gumayusi taken down immediately. Now Kerry is going to turn up. His owner with that crescent guard is looking for Keen and will be able to find him. It's a 1-for-1 80 carry for top lane, but T1 still looking for more in the 4v4. Carrier dives forward, but Duro's able to get himself out of there with all of his summoner spells. And I don't know whether this works for GENG, because they gave up a Drake and then went 1-to-1 in a fight.
Yeah, they went 1-to-1 in the fight. Duro loses his flash on the exchange there as Doran is able to force it with an ult there. But at the end of the day, the start was great. Like, this concept of pulling Faker's TP in and then collapsing onto Guma is exactly how this composition can work, because the Orianna isn't that strong alone, but the teleport angle from Faker is actually so threatening. It's hard for GENG to then force a chase. Chovy looks for the taunt, doesn't find it here. Keen is taken out in the outset, and then Duro here forced to flash. So at the end of the day, good start on the play there, but the teleport angle from Faker, I think, really threw GENG off, and they just had to retreat. Now T1 in Otacon control.
Yeah, Canyon is just on the Krugs, and Keen's in the bottom lane. So this Otacon is just, it just belongs to T1, and GENG are not going to contest. So dropping the ball a little bit when it comes to being able to hold on to these objectives here. And T1 can also then augment that with this outer turret. GENG just bleeding all over the place. Haven't been able to find a team fight that works for them. I felt like their coordination a bit off in that last fight as well. Noticed the second time around that Canyon threw his ult onto a corpse. Because, of course, Gumayusi was very dead prior to that one working. So he was sort of on his way in there, and then it sort of fizzled out. So he didn't have the access to that for the next target in the fight.
T1, I believe, had like 3 or 4 petals before that Otacon. They're at 14 to the, okay, it's 4. I got the confirmation.
Thanks, Jason.
GENG's 12 here, so it's not like the most high value of all time Otacon takes here for T1, but it's just one more thing in their list of objectives they have. The grubs that Keen picked up have been very irrelevant in this game thus far. See, he got a little bit of side lane pressure here, but isn't able to touch the turret. Still a playable game here for GENG. The gold lead hasn't really changed, but the map control is still 100% T1's.
Yep.
This could be an angle.
Possibility, as Ruler is still very, very strong. Going for Lord Dom's third here, because feeling a bit of a pinch, especially with the fact that there are some armor items being built up here by Doran. You know, a little bit, a smattering, but it's just sort of base armor that is going to make that item feel pretty valuable.
Yeah, cut through that Zhonya's value there.
Yeah, there you go. That's armor. That counts.
It does count. I think that for GENG, your best bet is to all in on this next fight. And hopefully, if you're a GENG fan, you're hoping that Ruler gets that LDR before this dragon does spawn. It's going to be pretty close whether he picks it up or not. He is backing right now. We'll see if he does end up securing that. Because this is the fight you can turn the game around on. You do have flashes back up on everybody but Duro. You have Canyon, Chovy, Keen to lock down Guma before the fight starts. If you can set up vision, even dropping a wave to set that vision up feels fantastic. Mortal Reminder picked up here for Ruler on that third item actually instead of the LDR, which makes sense in this draft. He's got that now. 3-item spike is hit. This is where it's do or die for GENG. This is your last real big team fight here. You win this fight, you can maybe even turn it into a Baron. Oh no, Duro!
Yeah, Duro's gonna get caught out, not stunned up by the heroic charge. That is a big deal. Ruler was there with Slurkle support, which does allow him to get himself to safety. Keen trying to pick up this wave in the side. And you can see Canyon makes his way back. We'll see what he can actually purchase here, as there are 40 seconds until this Cloud Drake. Chovy level 15, wanting to hit that extra level if he can. Don't know whether he's going to be able to. Oh, he's so incredibly close. He will hit level 16. There it is.
Okay, this is it. But unfortunately for GENG, because Duro was caught there, they had to play defensive around and they don't get any vision on Dragon. They're actually setting their eyes here on this Baron instead first, try to draw T1 in.
Death Dance completed here for Doran as well. He is so a full item ahead of Keen.
And, you know, you look at Chovy's items here, he's gone for the utility of that arm guard. It's all Ruler. It's Ruler or bust in this team fight. That is all that matters, is does Ruler get it done? Can you set him up? And T1...
Oh, Soul for Baron.
Yeah, T1 need to pivot over to this Baron.
Well, I mean, Soul is going to be pretty important as well, but GENG, they are doing a fair bit of damage to this one, looking to clear out vision as well as Chovy slinks back into the fog of war. T1 is still very dangerous, though, as Keen looking to rotate up. And they have vision that this Dragon is not being taken. This is going to need to be a turn from GENG. As Keen, he's just going to walk over here and look to start this one up, as T1 just searching for where GENG went. This little runaround, this do-si-do that GENG did, will be able to deny the Soul.
That was
very
a really
cute.
high-value blue trinket here that actually identified that Doran got off the Dragon. They then scried where he was and came over here while pulling T1 to the Baron. And GENG just quite literally ran a circle around T1, playing around vision really well. They don't have to force an awkward fight. They're all able to escape, even Canyon, who was on the wrong side of that pit. And they get the Dragon. They deny it from T1. And they get some more time here before we get that big 5v5.
Maybe some tempo vibes being pulled back in the GENG direction. Them in general still belong to T1, absolutely, but a little bit maybe making it feel a little bit closer. And the gold advantage is not really there for T1 anymore. GENG have been able to pull that one back relatively well. As you can see, 2,000 gold at 30 minutes into the game.
And the turn off of Baron is kind of awkward for T1. It's going to be so reliant on...
Oh, yeah. Public Execution comes down. The flash forward from Keen, and Doran gets over the wall, but Keen follows him with the ulti. Canyon comes down, but I think this would have been a solo kill for the Camille, and I'm pretty sure she's online, but the jungler was in the bottom lane.
And that means they just have to hard send it in the bottom lane and try to get as many turrets as they can. They're going for mid first, and they're going to try to get that bottom outer as well.
Yep, the Baron comes up. The catch from the ulti out of Duro is fantastic, but the rest of the cavalry are turning up, and the outer turret is still getting worked on. Faker's still alive. Down goes Canyon as Chovy's heroic entrance doesn't look exactly like that, but Keen is still a monster. The Crescent Guard comes in from Owner, but he still goes down. Double taunt from Chovy, and the Winds of War will be able to take another one down from the grave. Faker is going to be able to shut him out, but GENG get rid of so many Barons.
It's only Guma's Baron that remains. They make the call to not push for that bottom inner turret, instead collapse on the teleporting Orianna. It all starts off here with Keen down an item, hitting, look at that damage on that first Q.
My
Doran
God.
then gets ulted over the wall by the Hextech ultimatum, and is just unable to compete here with this Camille. You see that Keen, or rather Canyon, shows up.
1,000 gold for Keen as
and then
well.
Faker is caught here, but his timing on his Zhonya's is phenomenal. Unfortunately, though, there's just so much setup here for GENG with all these melees, and Ruler isn't even here yet. Watch what happens when he shows up as Keen goes into the backline here. Ruler's ultimate getting so much work down, or buys some time with his ultimate, and then Chovy, the double taunt, almost escapes with his life there, and Guma's the last Baron standing. So again, GENG is kind of running circles around T1 on the map, utilizing this Camille pick even behind. Now only, it's actually ahead, in fact, of Doran gold-wise here. And look at the dent in the gold difference over time graph here that just hit.
And the ridiculous thing is the amount of shutdown gold that GENG just got from all of those kills, because it was only Guma that survived, and he was the one that was behind. He was the only one that was already behind in this game.
And like, the GA is completed, and now it's item parity for the top laner.
Yeah. And it's just kind of absurdity. I wasn't expecting to be talking about this, or the fact that it's 7-11 in kills. It's a very convenient kill score at the top side of the map. As, yeah, GENG looking to defend on this bottom side. Chovy will be able to push this wave in towards the inner and mid lane. But it looks like T1 want to find themselves a fight as Keen is off on the side, that GA in hand. The double siege minions are looking difficult for GENG to do anything about, as Canyon charging that Vault Breaker. The engaged Braum comes in from Duro as they're looking to split these fights, but Canyon is so difficult to deal with. Doran getting into that backline though, as now Ruler's doing his best to kite him out, and the public execution is ignorable, and now Chovy finds 3. Justice for Ona as it's a double for Canyon, and the GENG freight train is burning down the bottom lane as Ruler picks up his 3,000th assist, and I have a feeling the Camille's scaled in this game.
I think so. Down goes Guma. It's the full clean ace of T1. And when we go back and look at how that play started, I think a lot of it is Doran late on the TP. He thinks that T1 is still safe without him, and they're surely the engaged Braum won't do T1. We're safe. They're safe to continue to siege and push. They have the double cannons. But look at where Doran is on the map. I think if you want to play this far up and play around your double cannons, you just got to bring your Ambessa. Instead, they decide to 4-1 it. And GENG are like, no, you stepped both carries forward. Yeah, both carries caught your Faker first. And then look at Ruler's damage here. Doran shows up, and he's just shredded immediately as they try to buy time for the rest of T1 to get out. But Keen gets in the back line with Chovy, has GA, so it's not even a sacrifice of the Camille. And when you have this Yunara in the late game, yeah, sure, he hit 3,000 assists, but they are assisting him. He is the main character of this draft. And Gum will be the last to fall, and T1 now incredibly far behind in this game.
Yeah, the problem is that GENG have kind of hit the things that they needed to. GA back again here for Keen. There is another one now on Canyon at the same time. And T1, there is still Cloud Soul available for them if they can lock this one down, but things are looking so much more difficult. All of the ultimates still there here as GENG look to see what they can do. T1 still formidable, still scary as the Slurkle comes in. Keen just halving the health bar of Ona as he dashes on top, but it's not a full commit here from GENG. They're making sure they have the vision. They are still respecting what T1's going to be capable of.
So hard to get something done with Shockwave here when they have choke point control. Banana Brush, they're constantly trying to put control words in it, but just feeding them to GENG as they're cleared out repeatedly. This means Faker just doesn't have any agency. And I think that T1 are just going to have to give this up.
What is the Galio poke? What the heck was that about?
Big damage.
It's actually doing a fair bit of work here as Keen finds the angle. He gets on top of Ona, but it's Ruler's damage that we need to be wary of. And he takes down Doran. The Crescent Guard comes in, but Chovy just says, no, you're not allowed to engage. Duro and Canyon dealing with Ona off to the side, and the rest of the fight is going to be there as Keen gets out of the way of Faker, and Faker will overextend, unfortunately. Chovy able to take that one down. Steadfast presence just doesn't feel very steadfast at this stage of the game, and GENG just think, nah, it's not really about the Dragon when we can kill a Nexus and take game one.
Yeah, I think the eyes were for Dragon. T1 get caught by the Keen flank, and their eyes are now for Nexus. Is Keen so far behind this game? How many games is this guy going to be? Like, remember his game was 1-4 on Gwen, and it just pops off later. This guy is taken over.
Well, Carrier now trying to be a hero, but that charge ain't going to work. Guma just dies in the blink of an eye, and the Nexus will explode. GENG looked, they gave up so much in this game. They looked down and out and are able to turn it around and pick up game one in this best of 5. And if all the games are like this, I might die.
I think that Wadid is going to have a lot to say about that 70% of the weak cons for T1 were there. They were a lot more narrow, though, and they had control. And when you constantly have control, when you're able to shut that Camille down, you just hold on to it. I felt like, okay, T1's got enough pressure here that they will win every subsequent fight with the vision control they have. But all it takes is one mess up. All it takes is that incredible moment there where the near solo kill comes through, and then Camille gets a little bit more online. They get so much gold. Also, their wraparounds, like the fake out with the Dragon or the Baron, and then they go to Dragon while T1 drops Dragon, then comes to Baron. These moments just bought GENG enough time for Ruler to become the Fountain Laser, the god tier damage that Yunara can be, and I think T1 will probably regret giving that one over now.
Yeah, but the thing is, it worked. What T1 did worked. but then they gave up so many shutdowns. It was a mistake that lost them that game. I don't think it was the draft. And I agreed with what Wadid said, you know, 70% draft, 30% gameplay. Draft was a success. Just wasn't quite enough as GENG were able to close it out in the end. We are going to go to a short break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down, and then we could have 4 more games of this. Hell yeah.
호피 공도 없어서 다 연수 없다. 그냥 타워 치면 돼.
근데 라카라는 거 막아볼까?
라-
라 궁만 생각해.
라클 내가 폴키 공 앞에서 맞을게.
아 저거 내가 방패
오케이.
막을게.
내가 맞게 내가 맞게.
라클만 못하게 하자.
라클 하나 맞.
그냥 때려 박자. 막았어 한번. 파괴장 적자. sol 빠졌고.
그냥 타워.
나탱.
나한테.
나이스. 나 빡세 갔네.
안돼 전령을 못한 것 같아 내가.